I think that phrase captures it all. You have to believe in the power of these kids and in their future and never give up.
We're an organization that is changing people's lives by having them get in touch with their abilities and strengths. I think people lose hope that they can get through something tough, and they need a guide. They need an expert guide to get them through the really, really rough times. That's true for kids, that's true for parents, and that's what a skilled and caring professional group of people can do in an organization. That's essentially what we do.
Well, the way we got involved originally in Youth in Need was as a recipient of services. Our oldest son, Shawn, we were having some problems with him through adolescence and stuff, some pretty severe behavioral problems, and we needed some assistance, some hospitalization.
And then from a recommendation from a social worker there, we had Shawn in Youth in Need, and we did the intake evaluation, and it was just really nice to meet with people that realized as a parent you were trying to do the best thing.
Around 1991, I met Shawn. He was in our emergency shelter, and he had come in, he had some family problems. My first recollection of him was that he was kind of, exterior, kind of tough guy, and kind of quiet at first, and just kind of finding his way as most of the kids do when they first come into the program. He was having a difficult time, and we were just trying to help him to transition through that and to hopefully find his way back home and be reunited with his family.
We didn't know what to expect. Everything we were going through was very new. We had infant children at home, and then we had this teenager through all those challenges we were going through, and it was a very challenging time. And of course, we were uncertain and all that stuff, but it turned from fear and uncertainty to comfort.
The thing that lingers with me about Shawn in a big way is how much time he spent thinking about events in his life and trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together in a way that would allow him to move forward.
All this happened in about a year's time. It was a lot in a very short time. Mm-hmm. It was a very busy year. Shawn later got involved. As he started to get things together, Shawn got very involved in Youth in Need, which was very exciting for us.
As a peer counselor.
Yeah, as one of the first peer counselors. And we were just really excited about that for him, because I think he was learning a lot and coming into his own.
Shawn and others that come back to help after they've gotten some treatment, they can go and talk to kids, and they can offer encouragement, that sort of thing. And, that's true for, anyone that can walk in the shoes of somebody is going to have an impact. And so he did.
And then it had a tragic end to it.
He was in school, and he was having trouble just keeping that going, and just a lot of things. And so we found that he was just searching, really. It was just a lot of challenges going on in his life. At this point, he was 19. He was becoming a little more independent, and he was living with some folks that were just, really good role models in a way. A little more mature than Shawn. Also, some of them involved in Youth in Need, so that was a neat thing. But this last crisis, it was 1 week, I remember, he was really rock bottom, having a difficult time.
He knew that he had to get his life together, that he was struggling, that he was worried about decisions he was making or would make.
And I remember I was gone for about 3 days in California. And, you have these weird feelings. And so I got back in town, and I thought, I need to call Mary right away. So I called her right away. And ironically, it was about 5:30 when my flight got back in. And I called her. I said, Mary, how are things going? And she goes, well, I thought everything was fine. But she was frantic on the phone. She goes, the police just came by the house, and they were asking about Shawn. And was everything okay? And they go that he was at the license bureau. And,
right, yeah.
And what was this?
He was having trouble getting his car license, and I think he just thought, oh gosh, that's one more thing that's going wrong. And I said, well, I'll call him. I know he's at his apartment. And
yeah, but I guess he made some kind of comment to the license bureau.
I just had enough, or
yeah, we won't have to worry about it tomorrow.
Yeah,
you just won't have to worry about it. So Mary goes, I'm really concerned. So I was coming across the bridge, and the apartment was just right on 5th Street. So I went down there and there were police cars there. I said, you know, what's going on here? And they said, well, can we ask who you are? And I said, well, I'm Shawn Leach's father. And then, and they just said, sir, I'm sorry to tell you this, but your son killed himself. I just turned and walked away. I couldn't even say anything. And I got in the car and I just thought, you know, how do I?
You called.
I gotta call my wife. It just wasn't real. We had to take and find in this horrible tragedy some gift to move forward. We had little kids that were counting. We had 3 little kids at home, and we then soon had another child. We had to find a way to pick up and go.
Obviously, they had a lot to get through, but they didn't want that to be an end point. They wanted that to be a restarting point.
Here's this tragedy, and absolute tragedy in your life that most of us couldn't even imagine. And you know, your life can go in any direction from there. And magically, Rick and Mary chose to take that into a positive direction. Now, how they had the strength of character in that to do that, I don't know. I mean, because I'm not sure that any of us could say we could do the same thing. But they did. They went from the absolute worst tragedy any of us could imagine to turn it into something very positive in sharing their experiences and dedicating their time and their efforts and their resources to helping other kids.
But Shawn's was a very tragic result of adolescent depression that was still masked in spite of everyone's efforts. But these lives, they change, and Rick and Mary have taken that tragedy and they are changing lives. Rick and Mary just care at a very, very deep level about children and families. They live it with their own family and they extend it to others. They've gotten involved personally with programs and kids. They have groups of kids to their home. They've mentored individual kids.
No matter what's been asked of them, they've always been there to support the organization, whether it's fundraising, whether it's just lending a word of support.
When we talk about the mission of the power of the potential, it's also, I believe, talking to us about the power of what we can achieve and what these generations that we're trying to help mold can achieve. And Youth in Need is there trying to help fill those gaps and help build those bridges. And we believe that that work is essential to all the good things that will happen over time. And we've got to invest in our youth from the youngest all the way up. Obviously, they've helped us in so many ways personally. We do it in memory of our son Shawn, because this was something that in his later teenage years he felt was important as well, and we agree with that. But what they do is truly a service that is invaluable to families. And so often families don't realize that there's a need for that until there's a crisis. It's good to know, and it's comforting for me to know when I hear of a family in crisis that I know there's a place like Youth in Need there to help.